We would like to welcome everyone to today's event on India Insights Day, Unlocking India Opportunities and Strategies for Japanese Universities. 皆様、本日はインドインサイトデーにご参加いただき、誠にありがとうございます。To begin today's event, may I invite His Excellency Mr. C.B. George, Ambassador of India to Japan, to give the opening keynote address. これより、駐日インド大使 C.B. ジョージ閣下より開会のご挨拶をいただきます。
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Shashank Shah, Director, Senior Specialist Higher Education, Niti Aayog, Government of India. Dr. Eugene Yakuchi, Vice President, Director, Center for Global Education, University of Tokyo. Mr. Adrian Morton, Executive Chairman, Acumen, Sanam S4 Group. Mr. Yugo Yoshida, Director, Global Talent Acquisition Division, JETRO. Dr. Keiko Ikeda, Professor, Kansai University, Vice Director, Institute for Innovative Global Education. Mr. Sahar Bahadur, Executive Director, India, Acumen. Mr. Kumon Takashi, Professor, Asia University, Japan. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I welcome each one of you who have gathered today for this important event. I'm happy to mention that the Acumen team has been working very hard to make this event happen today, and I congratulate them for their initiative and support. I am pleased to address this gathering today as we delve into the multifaceted and dynamic partnership between India and Japan, two nations united by shared values, mutual respect, and a common vision for a prosperous future. Our collaboration spans various domains with a particular emphasis on skill mobility, government initiatives, and academic research. At the heart of our bilateral cooperation lies a commitment to developing a skilled workforce capable of thriving in a rapidly evolving global landscape. The India-Japan collaboration and focus on skilled professionals and human resources has grown substantially over the last few years, focusing on creating pathways for Indian students and professionals, Indian students to study here and professionals to work here, study and build careers in Japan. Strengthening cooperation in the area of human resources and skill development is becoming a key aspect of India-Japan relationship. Our countries have thus concurred to work together to boost the number of skilled Indian professionals who could contribute to Japanese economy. Although for the cooperation on India-Japan skill community to move forward, a number of initiatives have been taken in the past decade, but the momentum that I see today is unmatched. Both sides are aware of the immense potential of this and working towards it. From G to G, B to B, and people to people, skill mobility has transcended into all domains, and I am very glad to note that. As a diplomat of over 30 years of experience, I had the great fortune of traveling to different countries and work in almost 11 countries in the world. When I landed in Japan, I noticed that one thing is missing. We have everything right. We have excellent political relationship, civilizational connect, business relationship, defense and security connect, people to people connect. One is missing, and that was the number of Indian students in Japan and the number of Indian professionals in Japan. And that is the missing link in our relationship. I always tell my Japanese friends, Indians are the best in human resources and you are not getting the best. We should work towards getting the best. So last 2 years, I have been going around all over Japan, meeting everybody possible, building a consensus, namawashi, so that we could work together and increase this number for the mutual benefit of India and Japan. Japan is the best. And I would like Japan to get the best. And the best is Indian human resources. Anybody who have lived in the Gulf, lived in the US, worked with US technology arena or UK in the medical field, they would all know that Indians are the best human resources today in the world. And if there is one country which can handle the scarcity in the human resources, it is India. New IITs are coming up. New IIMs and AIMs are coming up all over the country. Initially we had 6 IITs. Today we have 23 of them all over the country. It is not just the tier 1, the metros, it's also the tier 2 and tier 3 cities are producing the best in the world. And I'm very happy that there is a recognition and understanding and appreciation of that in Japan today. I realized it. Most of the prefectures are looking directly to get Indian professionals. Most of the universities are trying to get Indian students. There is a momentum definitely. And when I see Professor Shakti Kumar sitting here, the number of scholarships that Indian students get in Japan, that has increased. The number of exchanges between scientists and scientist students has increased. And it is not an incremental progress we are seeing. We are seeing a quantum leap in our relationship. And if you look at the Gulf, every CFO is an Indian. Why is CFO? 2 things are required for a CFO of any company. 1, the knowledge of accountancy. Indians are good in mathematics. Not this generation only. It has been there for thousands of generations. It has always been, and it will always be. So you need to give your company to a CFO who knows mathematics and accountancy. Second, you need to have something which is very important. Integrity, loyalty, honesty. That is most important. You go and ask any person. I lived in 3 countries in the Gulf. That is why Indians have the CFOs or the accountants. And I would look for a day when I will see more CFOs from India in Japan. Like NASA has Indian scientists, more scientists from India in Japan. So I look forward to that day. That is a dream. Like Martin Luther King said, no, I have a dream. This is my dream to have a quantum leap in the number of Indian students in Japan. I went to around more than 50 universities. What did I see? I saw Indian students. There are Indian students in every Japanese university, but the number is small. 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. That's it. But let me ask, if there are 20 students in a university from a country, that means there is an ecosystem. Otherwise, they won't stay there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. There is an ecosystem for an Indian student to study in that university. That is why he is there. And what do we see? We need to, if there is 20, we can increase it up to 200. But why is it not happening? It's not happening because we are not doing enough PR work. We need to send this message in every city of India that Japan has good universities and more affordable than many other places. So let me give you an example. I believe this year MEXT is giving 80 scholarships to Indians. It was 50, they raised it to 80. How many applications for that 80 scholarships? 4,000 applications. That means 4,000 Indian students are interested to look at Japan for their higher studies. When we take 80 and let the rest 3,920, mathematics is not bad, 3,920 to go, you are not welcome here. Who is losing? What is missing? Why don't we get at least 1,000 of that 3,920 and say that, yes, you are welcome. I cannot give you full scholarship, but I can give you 50%, 30%, 20% scholarship. They will come. And once you have a critical mass in a university, if you have 200 Indian students, let me tell you, you will get 2,000 very soon. This is how it happened in the West. This has happened in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand. Let me give you an example. When the Russia-Ukraine conflict started, I realized that we had 20,000 Indian students studying there. 20,000 Indian students. And we evacuated all those students within a few days. But if Ukraine can take 20,000 Indian students, what is preventing? And Ukraine, by the way, it's not English, okay? So we don't have the language escape anymore. We cannot say that because Japanese is the medium in Ukraine. It is Ukrainian which is the medium, it's not English. So if Ukraine can have 20,000 Indian students studying there, doing their graduation, post-graduation, why are we not able to get more Indian students in Japan? Something is missing. What is missing? The students should come here, should be able to work here, should be able to do internship here, should be able to go back with the experience of having studied and worked in Japan. We need to make that small changes. That is very important. I'm very happy that there is a realization of this, understanding of this in the leadership today, and we are working with them. I hope there will be significant changes in the coming months and years. We will see. I remember when Honorable Speaker of Japan, House of Representatives of Japan, His Excellency Mr. Nukaga visited India last year. He met Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, and where he stated that Japan would receive 50,000 Indian professionals in the next 5 years. At least 50,000 Indian professionals in the next 5 years. This is a good program. And this year he again visited as part of and discussed about how this can be implemented. On an average, India has 1.3 million students studying abroad. Japan has only 1,500. Not acceptable. That's what I'm saying. We have everything right except the number of Indian students in Japan. I'm very happy that this seminar is being organized today, which would help us to generate interest in both countries. And one important thing to note is I'm seeing a lot of initiatives like this by various universities in India and by various universities in Japan taking their own initiatives in reaching out to each other. I'm very happy with that interest and momentum which is being generated. So once again, I thank Acumen for taking this initiative and working with us. And I thank the Japanese leadership. I thank the universities. I thank each one of you for joining us today. This is just the beginning. We will continue to engage each other so that we will meet our target, a quantum leap. 1,500 students, not acceptable. I want to make it 15,000 in the next few years, few months, few years, definitely. So I want your support, guidance, blessings, and look forward to that. Once again, I wish all the success to the event today as you spend the whole day focusing on India-Japan skill mobility. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Iriang Matan, Executive Chairman of Acumen, to deliver his remarks and agenda briefing. 続きまして、Acumen 会長、エイリアン・マトン様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
Well, good morning and welcome to the Embassy of India here in Tokyo. It's a great pleasure to be back here, and I would like to thank the Honourable Ambassador, firstly for your very enthusiastic remarks and the energy in which you instill in the relationship. I think it's very infectious. And over the years, as I've worked with the embassies internationally and with the government of India, you can feel the enthusiasm for change, you can feel the enthusiasm for partnership, and you can feel the enthusiasm and reality of the outcomes. India is now on a new trajectory, and I am certainly very proud to be part of that. I would also like to thank the Ambassador's team for their incredible hard work making this event happen, not just in bringing us together today, but also spreading the message far and wide, as the Ambassador clearly says. that India is open for much greater and more strategic partnerships with Japan. I would like to thank Dr. Pankaj Mittal, the Secretary General from the Association of Universities, who has joined us here today from India, and for Professor Yoguchi Sensei from the University of Tokyo. Thank you for our valued partnership and for your special remarks. I would also like to thank our distinguished guests from JETRO, the Institute for Innovative Global Education, Kansai University, Asia University, and for those of you that have travelled from across Japan to be with us today. My gratitude to Dr. Shashank Shah from Niti Aayog, Government of India, who could not be with us today but has sent his recorded remarks and expresses his thanks, Ambassador, for being able to participate digitally in today's important event. I would also like to thank the guests from METI, from JASO, from JST, and across the relationship between India and Japan, and for those of you who've joined us from universities for your participation. And last but not least, to Saga Bahadur and my team in India who've worked very closely with the embassy to make this happen. India's ambitions, I think, are reflected in the fact that we are here today. It was on the February 21st, so less than 3 months, that the ambassador and I met here, and we talked about the relationship and how we needed to do more to raise the profile of the opportunity. Within 90 days, we have organised and hosted this event. The ambassador encouraged us to do more digitally across India, so we launched a competition to high schools across India. We have had over 1,100 students express interest in studying in Japan through that one competition. So within 90 days, we've launched new initiatives, we've forged partnerships with the Association of Indian Universities, we forged partnerships with JETRO, and together we will fulfill your ambitions, Ambassador. Thank you. Today's event is being held in 2 halves. So this morning we gather here in this beautiful auditorium, and in the afternoon, post-lunch, we will be congregating downstairs. This is a great opportunity to share ideas, but also to open up on challenges and practical solutions to achieve those. Let me start by saying that I've spent 33 years living and working in India. My 3 children were born in New Delhi, so they consider themselves very much part of India's young population. And my wife's family are from Tokyo, so I have links on both sides of this relationship. There is an ambition in India's internationalization agenda that I have not seen in the last 33 years. This ambition is not isolated to a few academics or a few institutions. It is now pervasive across India's international higher education sector. It runs through industry, clearly through the Government of India, and of course, India's young students and graduates are embracing the opportunity that the national education policy implemented by the government in 2020 now offers. Today's event is a landmark for us because as Acumen, we entered Japan with serious intent. We have had the privilege and the honour of supporting the Government of India across the world and building bridges between universities, between researchers, and creating faculty and student mobility. We believe that the ingredients that Japan has and the relationship between India is set for the quantum leap that the ambassador clearly believes in. The simple truth is that India and Japan are demographically, economically, and philosophically entirely complementary. The challenges that one nation faces, the other offers equal opportunities. India's youth totals 650 million people. Those 650 million people in India under the age of 25 represent 1 in 5 of every young person on planet Earth. Of those 650 million, 1.3 million students choose to invest in an overseas education. Many of those students use that investment to forge meaningful career pathways overseas. I agree with the ambassador that at 1,500 students coming to India and with small numbers in the workforce, we have a bright future ahead of us. By investing in each other's students, each other's faculty and institutions, Japan and India will not just build mutual capacity, we will find ways to innovate and thrive together, to develop capabilities and deliver the solution to address not only our own, but the world's most pressing solutions. Let me close with a call to action. To our Japanese colleagues, your excellence in research and innovation, in precision and in long-term thinking is admired across India. India is ready to partner, not just to send bright young students, but also to build substantive and lasting initiatives together. Do not underestimate the ambition, desire, and ability of India's higher education sector and its young student and professional population to be your largest single source country partner within just a few years from now. And to my fellow Indian stakeholders, let us move quickly and strategically. Let us focus on the priority areas, establish the practical mechanisms which will demonstrably show progress against these bold goals and ambitions that the ambassador has set today. That India welcomes Japan as a premier partner, problem solver, and co-educator for the next generation is unquestioned. As we look towards the future of India-Japan relationships, few partnerships hold as much untapped potential as the exchange of ideas, innovation, and inspiration between the two countries. For this, leadership matters, vision matters, and an ability to implement programs around that leadership and vision is what counts. Japan is not forging a partnership that is unique. Many countries around the world are years ahead of establishing meaningful and strategic partnerships with India. As the ambassador said, Ukraine was an example that not many of us knew in India at the time of the unfortunate war breaking out. But there are now many non-English speaking countries across the world who are thriving in partnerships with India. Language should not be a barrier. You offer not only a world-class education here, but you offer an affordable, accessible, and welcoming university experience. And importantly, you offer exciting, innovative, and progressive career opportunities for India's youth. Ambassador George and his team here in Tokyo and across the country have the vision, and he and his team have the determination to bring partnerships together and to support us in our goals. Let us seize this opportunity to make higher education and workforce mobility the next great chapters in the India and Japan shared history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Next, we'd like to invite Dr. Eugene Yaguchi, Vice President, Director, Center for Global Education, University of Tokyo, to deliver a special address. And we kindly request the speakers to maintain the allotted time. 続きまして、東京大学副学長矢口友人様よりご挨拶をいただきます。登壇者の皆様、お時間現状お願いいたします。
Good morning. I was asked to speak in Japanese, so I will be speaking in Japanese, but I wanted to start in English to directly thank the ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Mr. C.B. George, and Minister Chakrabarti for hosting this event. Thank you very much. We have had the privilege and honor of hosting Ambassador George to our campus. I think we were one of the 50 universities he has visited, And he spoke not only with our president and executive vice president, but also with our students. It was such an inspiring event, and inspired many of our students to want to go to India, look towards India. And I admire you for visiting different schools and inspiring our students, and also inspiring us this morning. Really, our job is to translate this inspiration into practice. It's time to start practicing all these visions. And that's what I'm going to talk for about maybe 5-6 minutes, and allow me to switch into Japanese. おはようございます。東京大学の矢口と申します。本日本楽を中心に
from India, there are about 1,600, so we need to double this number. As His Excellency C.B. George actually repeatedly explained, not doubling is actually not. You really need to add another digit. So you need to be like 16,000 from 1,600. So we wanted to achieve this target, of course. So in order to achieve this goal, our office in India actually opened from 2012. So our office in India, the actual president of international affairs has actually become appointed as the head of this office. So he or she actually took the leadership. So we have also a contracted agreement with Acumen, and also had a contract with ICR. As I think this is probably a very rare for government universities, national universities. I know there are some criticism, of course, but we thought we should be proactive, not just waiting to get information. So ICR should be proactive to just go around the university and also to collect information. This is what we have actually changed. And also at the University of Tokyo, the Shiwayama-san, which is actually a specially appointed professor appointed. So we are collecting information from Japan and also India as well. And we have also set up the actual office India. So underneath the Hayashi-san, chief executive, and together with myself and also the Professor Kitamura, are going to lead the education area. So let's move on to the next slide. Before this, I just really would like to touch upon the special relationship between India and University of Tokyo. We have a long relation. Before the World War II, 1940, the poet Rabindranath Tagore actually visited Japan, and he actually has some presentation in University of Tokyo. And he actually pointed out there are no rooms left. And after this, 1957, Prime Minister Nehru actually visited our university. And we actually put the portrait of Rabindranath Tagore. We don't actually have any portrait of any Japanese person, but we put Rabindranath Tagore's portraits in here. And in 2012, we set up the office in India. So Indian philosophy and literature and Southeast Asia research, those are the areas that we looked at. So, of course, we have a great relationship with IIT Hyderabad, thanks to JICA. So when you visit the actual faculty, there are some building designed by Professor Kawazoe. And of course, internship is actually being developed, including the actual support from the company like Daikin. So we've been actually sending our students to those private sector. Then we have actually studied university-wide exchange agreements as well. So in a nutshell, what we want to say is that as His Excellency actually pointed out, we must make sure that the student is coming from India. But not only that, we had a high awareness that our student needs to go to India because it needs to be bilateral, otherwise it's not going to be work. So we also need to look at what are the actual strategy for the outbound, not only just to accepting students from outside Japan. So we are going to start more proactive plan. Maybe we need to do some training to be conducted in India, not only like a few weeks, but maybe like a one semester as well. We should actually set up some opportunities so that the people can actually exchange their views in India. So this numbers actually represent there are about 1,600 students coming from India, and I think you understand this. I know that there are other students, Indian students who are actually studying outside Japan, the US or UK, even including Russia and Georgia and Kyrgyz. And this number is actually higher than Japan. If you look at, we actually see an increasing numbers of Indian students studying outside India, but we don't actually see any increase in the numbers of Indian students coming over to Japan. Actually, it's decreasing, I have to say. So I think we need to be aware this is actually a sense of crisis. That there are no universities which actually have a number of universities like 3 digit. We have over 3,000 students from China, but only 80 students are from India studying at the University of Tokyo, so we need to take some actions. So that is why we have a concluded smart contract with Argument and also ICR and also specially appointed professors. They are going around high school and also university together with educational counselors. And we wanted to share those information, of course, going forward. If anyone would like to have this information, I would like to share this with you. So the council is actually pointing out there aren't enough information being shared regarding to the application of university. And also there are some needs to collaborate with other universities. Let me give you some example. There's some requests to conduct some online workshop in India. They are seeking some opportunity to directly talk with professors because the council is actually pointing out that the Japanese university to increase the actual presence in India. So not only limited to the professors at the University of Tokyo, the professors across different universities in Japan, they should actually go and visit India and also to have a direct conversation. So we are actually responsible for the payment, so the Japanese academia should actually have a direct conversation to those potential students in India. So we have conducted such a survey as well. Let's go to the next slide as well. This is really the result, the response that we made from the inquiries from the students. Most of the cases, it's likely that there are lots of science and engineering technology students, but not only that, there are some potential people who has a lot of high interest in Japan. So the question here is how we can actually attract this. And a lot of cases they wanted to have some information about the scholarship and also the actual tuition, but when they have to pay at the time of entry for university. And I think this is something that you already know. The Japanese university, in order for Japanese universities to promote themselves, there are so many challenges. Starting from the very top, collecting information for studying abroad, and application structure, the system is not consolidated. It's all differs of bodies. Even for the national university, there are different application systems. In terms of preparing for the enrollment, there aren't enough information for scholarship. This is frequent question being asked from the Indian university relating to the actual life in Japan. Do we have a vegetarian food? Are we accepting there's no challenges in eating food in Japan as such? And there are lots of questions like, do we have enough classes in English? There are some portion, but it's probably not enough. And also, after graduating from university, if you look at Germany or France, the government or the private sector is actually collaborating to find the job placement. And what we need to look at now is we should actually stop saying that we can't find any we can't solve this problem. So we should actually stop saying that we are not able to respond to this. Now we live in the time that we must act on those challenges together with those people in the academia. Let's try to discuss what can we achieve this. What can we actually solve those problems? So when we actually concluded with Acumen, the private company, and also do the promotion of our university outside Japan, I know there are lots of opinions, including some criticism inside University of Tokyo and outside academia as well. However, we were able to make some decision. I don't know whether this is going to turn out to be right, but we really need to look at one by one. This is our passion to going forward. So I really would like to collaborate with all of people here today. And we have a special appointed professor at our university, and we also have some staff in India as well. So the information from each different university in Japan, if you really wanted to share such information outside to people in India, please contact us. So hoping that we will actually share the information as much as possible going forward. So thank you very much. That actually completes my presentation. Thank you.
came to Nalanda in India in the 9th century AD. This is probably the oldest example of transnational education. Coming back to contemporary times, between 1950, just after India's independence from British rule, to 2020, the number of universities in India have grown 60 times, from 20 to 1,200 universities. And the number of students has increased 200 times, from 200,000 students to nearly 45 million students. And despite its challenges with respect to access, India has already achieved a gender parity index of 1.01, which means there are more women than men in India's higher education system. It is equally delightful that the number of women in STEM education in India has gone up 3 times to 47% in the last decade. I am also proud to state that even in the 21st century, education in India is a public good, a social good. And unlike most other countries where education, the transnationalization of education is a commercial priority, the aspirations of internationalization of higher education in India is to strengthen its own universities for nurturing world-class and world-ready human capital on its campuses. As per the National Education Policy 2020, we envisage that our gross enrollment ratio in higher education will increase from the current 29% to 50% by 2035. This means that 50 million more students will join India's higher education system, and India will emerge as the largest higher education ecosystem in the world. You'd be delighted to know that the NEP 2020 focuses on 3 pillars: access, quality, and future readiness. In future readiness, internationalization at home is a key priority. Nearly 50,000 international students are enrolled in India's universities. But ironically, Japan does not feature among the top 10 countries sending students to India despite a host of opportunities. You may be aware of the popularity of India's engineering programs, especially at the Indian Institutes of Technology and the National Institutes of Technology, that provide excellent STEM education at significantly lower costs and higher return on investment. There are hosts of scholarships for international students in the central universities and institutions of national importance in India. Let me give a small example. The average annual salary offered to engineering students graduating at top IITs in India is about $26,000 US. The annual fee for international students at these IITs is about $5,000. This means that a student can repay her entire education fee in the very first year of employment. That is how affordable higher education in India is, and the excellence of the IITs and our universities is well known, with some of the most eminent leaders of global corporations being alumni of these institutions. While international universities are focusing on the large number of Indian students opting for higher education overseas, because it provides phenomenal revenue of over $5 billion, India's focus on internationalization is primarily to ensure that the 97% of students studying in our universities are exposed to global ideas. Hence, internationalization at home is our mantra. I'll conclude by stating that over the next 25 years, India will transition from being a source market to becoming a destination for higher education. On one hand, the systemic and institutional transformation which is being enabled by the NEP 2020 will enable Indian universities to attract students and researchers to join them. But on the other hand, the phenomenal transformation of the Indian economy as the 3rd largest economy in the world will provide unique opportunities. I'm proud to state that just last week, the IMF in its Global Outlook report has placed India alongside Japan as the 4th largest economy in the world with a GDP of $4.19 trillion. So we are now working together towards becoming the 3rd largest economy. I think I must mention to you that to create a roadmap for the next 2 decades for internationalization of higher education in India, Niti Aayog is working with a consortium of institutions led by IIT Madras and also includes the Association of Indian Universities, whose Secretary General Dr. Pankaj Mittal is with you, and Acumen Ventures, whose Executive Chairman Adrian Mutton is also with you. In the next quarter, we will have loads of insights to share with you based on our robust study and its findings. I hope, and I conclude by saying that just like in the 9th century AD, when the first students from Japan arrived to India for studying at Nalanda, Japanese students, researchers and faculty will once again consider India as a destination for higher education and research, and we together will contribute win-win outcomes for the benefit of both the countries. I thank you for your patient listening, and I wish this conference all success in achieving the Japan-India partnership in a substantial measure for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the video message. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Sagar Bahadur, Executive Director, India, South and Southeast Asia, Acumen, and Ms. Hargan Luthra, Senior Advisor, University of Tokyo, for their presentation on understanding India's higher education landscape. We kindly request the speakers to maintain the time allotted to them. 続きまして、アキュメ南東南アジア担当エグゼクティブディレクターサガー・バハル・ドゥル様と東京大学シニアアドバイザーハグン・ルーテラ様よりインドの高等教育に関するご発表をいただきます。
Namaste and a good morning to all of you. I want to begin by sincerely thanking all of you for making time for this event. Your presence here is a reflection of your sincere intention, shared purpose, and our commitment to grow the Indo-Japanese education corridor. I would also like to thank the Embassy of Tokyo, Honorable Ambassador, and the team who tirelessly worked with us to make this event a success today. I represent Acumen, a global education strategy firm, and in my role, I have the honor to work with 100 plus global universities, over 6 plus international governments, multiple government agencies and stakeholders. Each day, we work around policy, practice, and partnerships in this very exciting space. And it is a privilege now to be working in the Japanese higher education sector, working very closely with institutions and also with stakeholders to bring Japan closer to India. Today is all about insights. We'll be covering a brief presentation about the scale, the opportunities of India, just introducing you to what India has to offer to Japan. And we'll just cover that in a few slides that I'll be talking about now. Next slide. So today we'll be covering the scale and depth of the Indian education system, key trends in our Indian student mobility across the globe, emerging destinations and what Indian students are looking for, rise in the global talent pipeline that is supplied by India, and the strategic opportunities Japan has with India. Next slide. So knowing India, the scale, diversity, and momentum. We are one of the world's largest democracies with the youngest population, 1.43 billion people, with a median age of 28 years is what we can boast about. We are 28 states, 8 union territories, each with a unique identity. We've got 22 official languages with 120 widely spoken dialects. Professor Shashank Shah just mentioned that IMF placed us as the 4th largest economy along with Japan. And that's again something, a major point that when we talk about India, we mention. India is also going through a transformation. We are not limited to the metro cities that a lot of us would be knowing, which are limited to Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. But we're talking about 14 major metro hubs in India, along with 100 plus smart cities, transforming technology and innovation. We also have 400 million urban residents, and that is a rising number every time that we speak. We also boast the 4th largest startup ecosystem in India, and there's a lot of potential which in the further slides we'll be talking about. With all this magnitude, we still are a country which is deeply rooted, but yet outward looking. Next slide. This is an interesting slide when we compare the two countries, the very distinct numbers that you'll see. And while India and Japan are very contrasting, having contrasting demographies, one is a very matured and an experienced country, the other one is young and growing. Japan's demographic demographic challenge is India's demographic dividend. When you look at these numbers, we are talking about a total population comparison of 123 million in Japan compared to 1.3 billion in India. If you compare our school-going population in India, that is double of the total population of Japan. So that is the scale that we are talking about. Our higher education enrollments sit at 43 million in the higher education space, and we've got 265 million English speakers in India. The youth, as Adrian talked about, stands at 240 million. So that is the major pool that we are talking about. And the objective of this event was also to discuss how the two countries can work together, how two great nations can work together to get this aspiration of Japan to get young talent, or for India to also help its youth get better opportunities be solved. Indian higher education system is one of the largest education systems that we have, with over 260 million students going to schools and 40 million around going to higher education. A total staggering of 300 million is equal to the population of many countries that we talk about. The education is managed both by central and state governments. We've got close to 1,100 universities, and we are very proud to have Dr. Pankaj Mittal representing the Association of Indian Universities, which is the apex body getting them together, and over 50,000 colleges in India. We focus on multidisciplinary education, and there's a lot of internationalization and innovation that is going on. The next slide, I'll be talking more about the new education policy, just to give you an insight on that as well. We've got education delivered in multiple languages, regional as well as mostly in English as well. We've got rapid growth in international schools. The rise of international baccalaureate and Cambridge schools is also on the rise. We've got 1,200 international curriculum schools currently running in India. The NEP 2020 also allows foreign universities to now come and operate in India, and we have multiple international universities from UK, US, and Australia setting up campuses as we speak in India. There's also focus on skill development, research, and global employability within the systems. Next slide. A few key highlights about the NEP, the New Education Policy 2020, and I've just listed out some of the basics that would interest the Japanese stakeholders here. One of the key highlights of the New Education Policy is the allowance of international universities to set up branch campuses in India. We also have now clear routes of promoting global academic partnerships, joint degrees, dual degrees, which promote student mobility and faculty mobility, clearly. There's immense focus on vocational training, skill-integrated learning at all stages of education. India also has created the National Research Foundation, which has received a USD 6 billion fund over the next 5 years to boost impactful research and international collaborations, an area where Japan can really look into. Digital first education, an agenda of the Indian government, also opens opportunities for edtechs, virtual programs, and cross-border innovation. When you look at India and Japan and the talent and opportunity that we were talking about, just a few facts here is that India adds 1 million to its working age population every month, delivering education, driving education and employment demand, not just in India, but also can cater to many foreign countries. To meet its gross enrollment ratio targets by 2035, India would need 14 new universities per week to reach the 50% target the government has set. And that is where a lot of opportunity comes for international countries to come and provide education pathways or mobility option to cater to this demand. India has 300 million students, offering opportunities for global partnerships even in skilling and innovation. Japan targets 400,000 international students by 2033. That is to address the 3.5 million labor shortfall and to meet the IT demand. And we clearly see the connect of what India and Japan can do to meet the objectives of both governments. Japan's tech, education, and infrastructure complement India's scale and demographic advantage. I'm going to give you a global snapshot of how an Indian student at this point looks at when they're thinking of mobility for international education. We have mentioned the big fours. The big four destinations for Indian students would be historically the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. But we've also mentioned some rising destinations that we've been tracking. When you look at Canada, there are geopolitical disruptions happening at this point between India and Canada. And that has led to a few sentiments where Indian students are reconsidering Canada as a preferred study destinations. Canada as a country also introduced certain measures where the visa regulations got changed for students, and that also created a vacuum where student numbers have dropped for Canada. When you look at US, India is still the top source market for the US higher education. For Indians, US still has the highest aspirational value when they look at higher education opportunities. We had a 23% increase in the applications, but again, when we looked at the visa conversions, we saw that there are massive policy shifts leading to that number being questioned as well. In the UK, again, there are policy changes that are happening around compliance of visa, about talks about how the post-study work can look like when the new students arrive. And that number still remains stable for Indian students. We are still seeing a market correction, if not a decline, post-pandemic for those numbers. UK still appeals to the Indian student audience and has multiple opportunities where students are looking at. Australia as well, one of the big fours, came with policies around student caps. There were discussions, and again, the sentiment was more towards how do they limit the number of students coming from certain countries. And that led to, again, a disruption of how, international students started seeing that destination. And there's been a slight decline in the big fours that you can see. Where things started changing and which would interest you would be countries who started working in parallel, taking advantage of this situation, was New Zealand. Came with a growth of 67%. It, though, has a very few universities, but they came with a fresh perspective for Indian students, scholarships and their outreach. And New Zealand has seen a growth in Indian students now taking higher education in New Zealand. Similarly, Ireland saw a good growth in Indian students. Total population of international students comprise of 13.5% of Indians in Ireland, and they're still looking at policy relaxations to attract more Indian students to Ireland. Surprisingly, we saw Germany, and there's a slide that I'll be talking as a case study later, but Germany surpassed many traditional study destinations and recruited close to 50,000 students from India. With the language barrier and with all the other limitations they have, India surpassed China to be the topmost source market for international students for Germany. France and Italy also are increasing at a double-digit figure, close to 10 to 12% from India, and now are investing in engagements in India significantly. For Japan, we have ambitious goals even when we look at what we are doing in terms of engagements, and we feel that the student interest is there. What can we do more to be more sustained, to be more visible, is the question that we want to discuss today. This is just to give you a highlight of the absolute numbers when we talk about these countries and how many students are visiting these countries for studies. These are visa grant trends for each of the top countries. But in totality, we are talking about 1.33 million students, Indian students studying abroad. That's 1 out of 100 youth, Indian youth, who are now placed in international classrooms. And you will see, generally, apart from New Zealand, which is a slight increase, our traditional student study destinations are on the decline. And Indian students, parents, and stakeholders are looking for the next destinations where they're more welcomed, where they see more opportunity and growth. I think what's also important is to understand what drives an Indian student. We are still in a society where the decisions are mostly taken by parents, and then more and more we are seeing students being more well aware about their choices, about what's happening in different places. But these are 7 top things as per a study by QS, which are the top 7 student drivers which enables a student to take a decision. I'll go through each one of them, but you'll see Japan features and can really be highlighted for each of these drivers that a student or a parent would be looking at. The first one for an Indian student is the university reputation and rankings. Japan has quality education. We saw yesterday, we were in a meeting and we could figure out 10 Japanese universities in top 200 rank as per QS. But in general, the quality is something which can be very appealing for an Indian student. Career opportunities and employability is the second biggest factor for a student to decide the study destination. And given Japan's growth and the requirement for talent in the country, I think that's an area where we should make a lot of initiative and connect with India. The course availability and specialization is the third factor, where with the help of JASO and other universities, we could see a lot of English programs now being offered, and that list is growing every time that we speak. The fourth is the cost of study and scholarships, and again, from where we see things from, I think Japan offers multiple levels of scholarships, quality scholarships as per need and merit, and that's something I think we should be talking more about when we talk to Indian students. Visa and immigration policy, given what we saw, the big fours have complex regulations and policy shifts. I think Japan, again, has a good base to start and to talk about the ease of getting visas and what the immigration policies look like. Location and cultural fit is the sixth point, and that's where I feel a lot of education is required back in India as well. We are seeing a massive boost in tourism, so there is still a lot of talk about Japan, there's a lot of craze about Japan. And I think when you look at Indian youth, they're not just large in number, but they're also very curious, they're very, they have the ambition and they're very global. So that's one area where I feel Japanese universities can do a lot more, and talking about life in Japan and particularly student life in Japan. And safety and quality of life also features as a major deciding factor, and Japan, of course, is one of the safest options that we can offer to Indian students. Japan also has been featured consistently in the top 5, currently second best student city as per the latest QS rankings. This is a survey from Times Higher Education that we had. It's from the SAARC countries showing the demand for various countries that students will have from South Asia. It's very interesting to see that Japan is growing from where they were, especially when you look at India. But when you compare it with a country like Germany, there is much to learn and there's much to do, I feel. These are traffic views from SAARC countries to find out about education in the countries listed: China, France, Germany, Japan, and Korea. And we feel that while the interest is increasing to study and to know more about Japan, there is much more that can be done here. Over the past few months, we've also been meeting a lot of Japanese universities, institutions, and government bodies, and trying to talk about what has worked for other destinations. How are other destinations, other universities trying to tap that talent pool for their higher education institutions? These are 5 channels that generally exists and are used by mostly all universities trying to work in India and South Asia regions. The first one is direct channel. That's the direct digital marketing. So the universities or destinations can promote their offerings, their USP, and the students can directly interact and can know more about the options. The second and one of the bigger channels is to work with schools in India, and there's massive engagement that a lot of other countries and universities do. That's an area where we would love to see Japanese universities coming more intentionally and more in a sustained manner, coming and working and developing Japan as an option, which is not at a later stage, but at a time when the students start deciding from grade 9th or grade 10th about their study abroad opportunities. So how early can we take Japan to schools when the children are still thinking about their higher education options? Institutions directly, how do we work with institutions? I think one of the things that we have noticed in our interactions is the reliance or the over-reliance with IITs in India. And one of the things that we are trying to talk to our Japanese counterparts is to expose them to more and more quality institutions in India. Dr. Mittal will be talking about how many institutions in India do we have and what are their quality standards, and how many institutions in tier 2, tier 3 cities also have the hunger and the ambition to provide mobility of faculty, students, and even research opportunities with Japan. The fourth option is very new for Japan. There are highly specialized recruitment agents who help in student mobility, and that's something which you'll see mostly in the UK and Australia, where institutions' recruitment channels are 90% dominated by this particular channel. And then we have influencers and independent counselors who generally work with students to make them aware about opportunities in different countries. These are all the 5 channels where we want to work in future with Japanese universities to see what fits and how we can help them reach their ambitions for India. A few points on the India playbook. These are some pointers which we feel have worked for most of the universities, countries, and agencies. I think a local presence is a must given the size and the volumes that we're talking about. An in-country rep or an office for outreach and support is something that we have seen creates more credibility and more touch points with the stakeholders that we are talking about in India. There should be more events. We're talking about education fairs, visits, and recruitment drives that has really worked for universities in India. Scholarships, India, of course, is a scholarship-driven market, and that's, I think, one of the best ways to attract top talent to Japan. I mentioned UK and Australia works with over 90% of agent-driven recruitment, and that's something new, I think, for Japan in years to follow, which we can discuss. How do we partner with schools and institutions? That's something, again, that has worked very well for other universities in other countries. How do we market in a localized manner? How is the messaging suiting the Indian audience? Is again something that has worked for many other players. And more importantly, how do we engage with the alumni network? How do we use the students' knowledge and experience who have already studied in their respective countries, and how do we build on that particular pool? Lastly, I'll just run through a case study of Germany. I think it's a success story for us to show if a country commits to India, what are the possibilities that we can look at. Germany started only a few years with their outreach in India, and now in 2023-24, despite the language barrier, they had a 3x increase in their student recruitment from India and got close to 50,000 students in just 1 year from India. They worked on proactive India engagement, in-market presence, regular outreach, and a strong institutional visibility. Most of the German universities have presence now in India, and they have a very regular outreach calendar that they follow. I think the institutions also aligned very well with their national strategy, and the way the government and the institutions supported each other for these initiatives really helped them grow this number as well. Germany, of course, offers, just like Japan, affordable education and a good return on investment. So we're talking about minimal tuition fee, but world-class STEM programs and great career outcomes. They also quickly and very swiftly shifted to English-taught programs and created work pathways, which is something today, during the day, we'll be discussing as well, of opportunities of how study and work in Japan can be two areas that can be worked together to grow and reach our objectives. I'll now leave it to Hargun, who is a perfect case study and a perfect ambassador for Japanese education and promotion in India. Of course, she'll be giving her own introduction, but Hargun is someone who has spent time here in the higher education system as a student and now works for University of Tokyo as a representative in India and South Asia. And she'll be talking about her journey and what she's seeing in market. Thank you very much.
Konnichiwa, 皆様、はじめまして。私はハルグンと申します。アキュメンで東京大学のインカントリーレプレゼンテーティブとして働いております。今日皆様とお話しできるのをお楽しみにしております。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。Please allow me to switch back to English. A very good morning to everybody. My name is Hargun, and I currently work as the in-country representative at Acumen for the University of Tokyo. And I'm very grateful to be standing here talking to you all. A big thank you to the staff at the embassy, to the Honorable Ambassador, and my colleagues here at Acumen. So my journey with Japan, next slide please. My journey with Japan started when I first visited Japan in 2015 as an exchange student. That was an experience that changed everything. The warmth of the people, the beauty of the culture, and the deep sense of respect and hospitality left a lasting impression on the 15-year-old me. That's when my love for Japan began, and I knew I wanted to return. Not just to study, but to truly live and grow in this incredible country. So I graduated from Doshisha Business School in Kyoto in 2022, where I gained not only academic knowledge, but also a deep cultural insight through lived experiences as a student in Japan. Now, I am currently representing the University of Tokyo and the Study in Japan project in South Asia. So what began as a deep fascination with Japan's culture, values, and a way of life has now grown into a lasting admiration for its harmony, respect-driven ethos, and a pursuit of excellence. This connection has become more than personal, and it has shaped my purpose. So in this short presentation, I'd like to share some on-ground insights from India. As someone who's actively working across the region, meeting students, counselors, school heads, and other stakeholders, I want to offer a very practical perspective on the current landscape of student recruitment in India. Next slide, please. So as my colleague Sagar just mentioned, this is a broad overview of the outreach channels that we use to engage with various stakeholders in India. So each of them plays a vital role in shaping student decisions, and our goal is to equip them with the right knowledge, tools, and insights to confidently introduce Japan as a credible and exciting option for higher education. So, as Sagar mentioned, we engage with schools and high school students, universities and educational institutions, independent education counselors, recruitment agents, and study abroad advisors. Next slide, please. Now, this slide outlines the key outreach activities that we're currently driving across India. These are grounded in direct engagement with students, counselors, and institutions. We conduct various counselor training sessions to ensure that the advisors are well informed about opportunities in Japan. We offer one-on-one student counseling to support individual decision-making. We also conduct in-person events, including school visits and information sessions and online webinars. That helps us build awareness and extend our reach to students beyond the metro cities. We also facilitate institution visits and provide on-ground support during delegation visits to strengthen the university presence and foster partnerships. I participate in various student fairs that ensures visibility, and there are many ongoing social media campaigns that keep students engaged with relevant content throughout the year. Together, these touch points create a robust ecosystem of visibility, engagement, conversion, and are tailored specifically for the Indian market. Next slide, please. So, alongside our regular initiatives, here are some of the key ongoing initiatives that Acumen has undertaken in India to deepen engagement across different levels. Under the Student Focus initiatives, we run large-scale awareness and engagement programs like the Japan Info Sessions, recruitment fairs, and online webinars. We're also creating resources like the Japan Study Guide, and we organize unique platforms like Japan to India Tech Bridge competition that has sparked student innovation. Our institutional and strategic initiatives focus on strengthening partnerships like the India Insights Day that we conducted in Delhi and now in Tokyo. And finally, through our cultural insights, we build interest in Japan beyond the academics. Next slide, please. This slide highlights, so these are the ongoing initiatives that we have. We have an open day that we're soon starting in India. We have the competition. I'll tell you about it in a bit. The India Insights Day, we conducted the Insights Day in New Delhi as well, and now we're doing Chapter 2 for Tokyo. We're also preparing a Study in Japan student guide, which is going to be a document where students can search up their universities for English medium programs. Next slide, please. So this slide highlights our impact. So this is the tangible impact of all our ongoing efforts in India. As Adrian mentioned, in less than 3 months, we've launched a lot of ongoing initiatives. So about 2 months or so, we've started with a student competition, which is Japan to India Tech Bridge. We've also started with digital marketing campaigns. And so far, we have generated over 1,400 qualified student leads, with 550 students already expressing a clear aspiration to study in Japan. Out of these students, we have identified 208 who have requested more information and counseling for studying in Japan, and 210 students out of those have shown active interest in applying. On the institutional side, we're in conversation with over 150 schools willing to collaborate, and 110 higher education institutes that are open to partnerships with Japanese universities. We're also actively working with a network of 90 plus agents and have engaged more than 50 plus student influencers to amplify awareness and interest amongst the student audience. All of this has been showcasing the strong momentum and growth and interest in study in Japan as a destination. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this slide captures how different cities and different tiers of different cities across India are responding to Japan. In the tier 1 cities like the Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, we're witnessing a clear shift in destination preference, with students and parents becoming more receptive to exploring non-traditional countries like Japan. So the geopolitical uncertainties and evolving global trends have played a key role in this change. So for this segment, the university rankings, post-study career prospects, and global exposure are the strong motivators. In tier 2 markets like Ahmedabad, Indore, and Jaipur, students and parents are still in the awareness and exploration stage. When it comes to Japan as study abroad destination, lower tuition costs and generous scholarships are usually the key motivators here. There's a growing interest in international education, and Japan's unique academic and cultural offering has started to spark curiosity among the aspiring students here. In tier 3 cities like Chandigarh, the population of the Chandigarh and tier 3 cities is largely untapped, yet there is a high potential segment. While we are yet to explore this space fully, there is a notable surge in interest in studying abroad from these areas as well. So we believe that with proper outreach, with proper language support, and local engagements, this segment holds significant opportunity for Japan to establish itself as a most preferred destination in the coming years. Next slide, please. Lastly, this slide outlines some of the key challenges that we face in promoting Japan in India, but more importantly, it also highlights the opportunities we can tap into with the right strategy. On the left, we see hurdles like low awareness, language and cultural perception gaps, and limited availability of English taught programs. We're also up against strong competition from traditional Western countries. However, each of these challenges are mirrored by a clear opportunity. India offers a huge and ambitious student base that now is actively looking beyond the West. We're also witnessing a shift in destination preferences, driven by cost, safety, future career opportunities, as we discussed earlier. So Japan's affordable education, availability of scholarships, and growing interest in collaboration with Indian schools and institutions present a strong case for strong long-term collaborations with Indian schools and universities. As we look ahead, the partnership between India and Japan lies in the people, as the Honorable Ambassador mentioned. The future of this relationship is not written in treaties, but in classroom, laboratories, and the hearts of every young Indian student like me who dreams to study in Japan. So let's work on building this relationship stronger together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. We've now concluded the first half of today's program. We now request everyone to kindly proceed to the basement first floor for a networking lunch, followed by the second half of the program in the meeting room there. Kindly note that the remainder of the program will take place on the B1 floor, basement 1 floor. これにて前半のプログラムを終了いたします。続いて地下1階にてネットワーキングランチをご用意しております。ぜひご参加くださいますようお願い申し上げます。後半のプログラムは地下1階の会議室にて開催いたします。間違いないよう地下1階へご移動お願いいたします。ありがとうございます。